In this video, I want to show you how to use Searchie to build a website for your course community or your membership or perhaps coaching services. Searchie is something I've done a previous video on as an excellent hosting for video because you can actually search inside of the video and then be taken right to where you want to go. That helps very much when you're doing a course or some kind of a membership service. And there are some organizational elements inside. I want to give you a little bit of a foundation of how to organize your video and build a page inside of Searchie. And then we'll go ahead and build on from there in some future videos. Hi, my name is William Beam. I'm a small business person just like you. And I want to talk to you about using Searchie as your course platform, your membership platform, or maybe even a coaching platform. So let's take a look inside. This particular page I'm looking at right now is from the folks at Searchie. They have courses that they put on a few times a year called Plan It, Build It. And basically they're teaching you how to use Searchie to build your platform on Searchie. And you can see that it's kind of a nice professionally designed thing. You can add backgrounds, you can add videos over here, you can have buttons. And these little sections over here will take you to different areas of your site. This one for community, I think, links off to a Facebook group. And then there are some bonus courses. So you can have multiple pages. You can have unlimited pages inside of your Searchie platform. And then you've just got this nice little environment where you can watch videos and create whatever you want to. And if you want to go back, you can just hit your back button, or you can come over here and click this menu and just go home. You can go to Planet, build it, and then you can see further down that they have a number of videos. And you can see there's a little bit of gamification here or progress indication. So for this part, the Planet, it shows that I'm 93% done. And I don't know why. I thought I watched all of them. And then on Build It, there are different sessions which I've been attending live, and then they put the sessions up here. And then there are additional things that get added on. So there's a lot of stuff you can do, and it's very simple and easy to build. Let me show you the back end to kind of understand what the organizational elements are and how this starts to come together. And this may be something that you want to do to support your customers and clients. Okay, here we are on the back end inside of my Searchie environment. And you're going to notice that they've got their little home thing here, and you can search through whatever you want. And the search, I've shown another demo, and as they say, I want to search for Lightroom, and it shows a number of things. It shows folders where I've put in Lightroom. It shows files that have Lightroom. And then I've got transcriptions, which of course Searchie automatically transcribes your videos and audio as you put it in there. And you can see where I've mentioned Lightroom in a number of places. And I've talked about it a lot, so there's a lot there. And that's the nice thing about Searchie is it's very easy to find things, but then you can open it up. And let's say we open up this one. And then you can see there's the transcription, and you can see Lightroom's highlighted in blue. And if I click on Lightroom, it takes you to the spot where I mentioned that inside of the transcript. So let's go back over here to Media. These are all the different file types that I've uploaded. Typically, when you upload a file, audio or video, it goes into a folder. And you can see I have a number of different folders over here. Searchie does not provide subfolders. So in other words, you may end up with a long list of folders, and then if you no longer need them, you can get rid of them. But I have folders for demos. I have some for courses, some that automatically transcribe things, like this one I no longer need, and this one as well. And you can see that there are things that sync up. So it's auto processing enabled, something that's coming from my Facebook group, or over here, this is a podcast, and that syncs up automatically. And you can turn that on or off depending on what you want to do. But you can get your media into a folder by either using one of the services that syncs, or you can come over here to click Add Media. So these are the services that I talked about. My podcast, for example, comes from Apple's podcast directory. And you can use any one of these things to bring it over, or you can just click plus on Upload and drag a file over. Upload media, put your media into a folder. The next thing you're going to want to look at is a playlist. So a playlist is basically a collection of files inside of some kind of organization, much like you might have an album. If you have iTunes or Spotify, that album relates to a playlist. And you can change the order of a playlist. So let's say for this one over here, this is a playlist that has a relationship to specific topics on my podcast. So in this case, anytime where I'm talking about creative photography, I can simply tag these things and they'll be imported in here. I can drag and drop them so you can see these little handles and you can kind of move them up and down so you can place the order of the playlist. That is helpful if you have a course where you need to bring things in and you need people to see the lessons in order. You can determine the lessons right there. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can add a thumbnail to everything. You can add attachments to specific items. So, for example, if you do a lesson and you need to have a PDF or some kind of file that goes with it, you can add that. And you can also automate things by automatically importing them into a folder or add a tag. In this case, I added a tag called creativity. So that's what helps me define what this playlist is. In this case, I have a course called Members Only. It is for a wishlist member. All the videos, I've got 9 of them, fit in one playlist. On this section right in here, I have another course, and I decided to break it up into different playlists. You can think of playlists as modules and the videos inside of them as lessons. So this module only has 1 lesson inside, whereas this one for working with Lightroom metadata has 7 lessons or videos inside. So you can organize things through your playlists. You can put them in your folder so that way they're organized there for the actual files, but then you can organize the playlists based off of any kind of criteria you want, whether it's importing from a file or using a tag that automatically imports things. So let's come down here to hubs. A hub is essentially a website that you can build. And I've got this one here called testing. When you start off, there's really nothing here. So it tells you have no content yet, and you can determine the privacy. So is this a private, which means someone has to register or perhaps purchase before they can get inside? Or is it open, which means that anybody who has the address can go directly here and start interacting with the information on this site? And then you've got options over here for downloads. Can people download the videos? There's an audio download and there is a transcription. So what do you want to allow people to download? Do you want to have a share button so that people can share these things with someone else? The audience lets you determine, one, do you want to enable registration? And you need to have a private site in order to do that. Do you want to monitor audience activity? And this lets other users see who's participating inside of your hub. That may be something you want for community, and it may be something where people just want to be private and not have anybody else know what they're doing. And then this enable audience progress is that little bar that I showed you for progress that you could, or a circle that you could see how far someone's gone. You can add your own domain. You can put in some SEO. There is an integration with Stripe, or you can use Zapier to integrate with another payment service. I use Thrivecart. And then there are some emails. And again, those are only available in private hubs. You can also, through Zapier, you can integrate this with your email service provider. But as far as building the website itself, here's what I want you to think about. We're going to come over here to customize. And you start off, you have one page, and that is your home page. A site has pages. Pages have sections. You can apply playlists or media or links within those sections. So let's take a look. On this home page where we start, I've got my logo so you can upload your own. There is a search bar up here, and then there is a menu. This next part over here, I don't have anything yet because you can see there's no section. So when we click on New Section, we have some choices here. A feature is kind of what you're seeing a template of here. So a feature allows you to put either a photo or a video right here. You can have a headline, some text, and then a button to click to take some kind of action. Compact is much the same, only without the image or video. A grid looks much like this. So you have a grid, and in order to populate that, you can choose a playlist, you can do something custom, or you can say, what have they recently watched? So we're going to choose a playlist, and let's say that I work with this playlist, and you can see that it automatically populates. There are different ways to display this. When we looked at the example on the Planet Build It, instead of using a grid, they used something called a carousel. So this scroll is essentially a carousel, and that means that things are going from side to side. So again, we have the same option. We choose a playlist. I'll choose this. So instead of seeing everything going from top to bottom and then down to the next row, you have this little arrow over here. And then you can click on something. When you're done, you can go ahead and click back and get to where you want to go to. You can change the background. You can use a primary or secondary color that you're allowed to define. You can use a custom color, or you can use an image for the background. And this section visibility allows you to define something called a segment. A segment is essentially a saved query of conditions for people who meet those conditions. You may have people who get to see one page or one section and other people who don't, based upon the section visibility that they're in. Let's go back and take a look at one other thing. So I mentioned something before about a carousel and a scroll. Both of them have the same concept. You're scrolling side to side. So let me bring up a carousel and show you the difference. And this is where you have a media file of some kind, and it's much like a feature, but you can have several of them. So for example, if you have a course with different modules, perhaps you'll put them here. You may have a URL that you want somebody to go to. You can have a page that somebody goes to, or a playlist that somebody goes to. So there's a number of options that you can put in here. And maybe if you just have one video, for example, if you have a welcome video, you may want to put that here in either this carousel or perhaps in a feature section. One of the newest entries they have as far as sections is called columns. And you can select from 1 to 4 columns. And this is actually pretty handy. In fact, you can build your entire site with just columns if you want to. So let's say that we have 2 columns. Over here, you can see that column 1 and column 2, and then that shows up on this section as well. Well, now you can start defining what this is going to be. So if you want to add an element, you can put in your headline, a subheadline, text, image, video, a button, or a line break, and you can kind of build this column out to what you want, and then do the same thing in the next column. So you've got a number of possibilities. So if we add a headline, you can see there a large call to action. You can center it, you can align it to either side, and you can change the margin. So you can center this down here if you want to. So let's save this, and we'll go back, and we'll click on this next element, add element. And remember, we're still under column. You can change this, and let's say that we call this column 1, just so we can separate between these 2 columns. And we can add another element, let's say subheadline, and we'll save that. We'll go back and add another element, let's say text, and then you've got some lorem text. So you can build this out however you want. You can change the margins for these things. You can kind of spread out the size of this and change the alignment. And if we wanted to add, let's say, an image to this, we can do that as well. And so now we've added an image. Again, we can center this, we can align it, and it's take the full space, but you can also change the margin a little bit as well if you want to do that. So we can save that. And now we've built this section out with just 1 column. We can do the same thing over here with something else, or maybe we would have had the image just be on that side. But columns give you a lot of flexibility versus some of the other sections that we can build into. They are very specific as far as, it'll save you some time perhaps if you just want to use a feature or a compact or a grid. But if you want to do something unique, a column gives you that flexibility to build your page and sections of your page however you want. So I mentioned that you can have unlimited pages. All this work we've done is on the home page, and we can edit the footer. So we can say, you can say this is a footer, but also you can put links into your footer. So for example, if you had your terms of service, your disclaimer, your copyright notice, all of that can be down here. You can also customize your menu. So as you build pages, it will add things to the menu. Right now, we've just got these little elements here, and you can add another menu item. So if you have another page, if you want to put a playlist on there, or maybe an external link, you can do all that for this menu that is over here right now. So if you want to add another page, simply click Create New Page and give it a name. And you are right back where you started as far as building a page. There's no content, there's no sections. So you can build whatever you want to. On this new page, you can change the name of it. You can also copy a page. So if you want to duplicate this, maybe you built a template and then you want to use that template of a page someplace else, you can do that and just give it a different name and duplicate it. So now when we look at our pages over here, we have our home page, we have a new page, and we have another new page. And we can just save these things and go back to our pages. And you see, there's our options. So there are some things that also come in here. Search results is predefined. So if somebody does a search and they find something, that's predefined. If there's a playlist, that's also a predefined page of what it looks like when you're on a playlist. Over here on the Appearance tab, this is where you get to dress your page. So if you want to choose a theme, you can choose your, let's say your brand colors, a primary color and a secondary color. Those can be whatever you want. That's to have this handy. There's nothing that prevents you from changing a segment or section of a page to any color you want or to a background image if that's something you prefer. This is just kind of to keep things handy. And you can make a light theme or a dark theme if you want to. As far as typography, you see that it uses Google Fonts. It defaults to DM Sans. I kind of like this Nunito Sans. And then that's for my headings. For body, I might want Source Sans Pro. And then it just kind of changes right off the bat. So it's very easy to use whatever Google fonts that you would like to use. So for your menu, you can choose what goes on there, and all you have to do is just click the plus to add something on there. Your labels are going to be things like, as far as, do you have media? And there's a singular and a plural. So in this case, media is the same for singular or plural. If you talk about playlists, you have a singular playlist or plural playlist. Now, these are the default settings. You can type in something else. If you don't want to call it a playlist, maybe you want to call it an album, maybe you want to call it a module, you can change that over here. And again, keep in mind, this is per hub, not necessarily for every hub that you build in your Searchie site. And then you can have locked content, and you can say coming soon. You can say, no, 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 not for you. Whatever you want to put in there, those are things that you can do. And the same thing with attachments, maybe downloads, resources, however you want to put them in there. So the labels, I think it's nice that they give you that little bit. The interface allows you to show file previews, show metadata if you want, show playlist metadata. And that depends on what you have inside as far as how that's going to look. And then I mentioned logos. So for example, here is a logo that I have for this site. You can upload your logo and use a PNG format that's at least 200 pixels wide. So that gives you an option to do that. Also, you can change the favicon, that little thing that shows up in the corner of your tab. That's what you have. So you can upload an icon there. And that is really how hubs come together. Now, there's a lot more that we haven't gone into yet. I just wanted to show you what the building blocks are and give you an idea of what the potential is of using this. As I said, Searchie has this opportunity. It hosts your media, but also it transcribes it. That lets your customers, whether they're students or coaching clients or members in a membership, if you talk about something, let's say you've done a Zoom or a live call and you post it up here, and they're thinking, what did he say about this topic? Well, they can go there to wherever you host, whichever section or playlist you host your Zoom calls, and then they can just search right in here for whatever it is that they need to find. And then it will not only show them all the places where you mentioned that, but then remember that transcript, where it highlights it, it'll take them right to that spot in the audio or video so that they can watch or listen right away to what they want to find out. I think Searchie Hubs is just a wonderful way to host your courses, your coaching, your membership, and I'll be sharing more about this in the future. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time here. If you're interested in this, go to suburbiapress.com/Searchie. I'll put a link in the description below and also try to put it up here on the screen someplace. And let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Is this something that you would like? The nice thing about Searchie is that it is always evolving. There is a new Searchie version 2.0 that's planning on coming out. I'm guessing the spring of 2022. So the interface may look a little bit different if you're seeing this video later, but I will do videos on those when they come out. And this is what I'm going to be using for my courses going forward. There are a lot of wonderful opportunities for hosting courses. I find this one to be the best. It's built on an AWS platform. It is rock solid. I haven't had any outages or downtime with this, and it's not interfering with my blog. In other words, I don't have to worry about WordPress problems in case one plugin conflicts with another and then it takes everything down. This is separate and unique, and you can add your own domain to it. And I find it to be just a very good system, and it is wonderfully flexible. So if you have questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please go ahead and click like, subscribe. I'll show more videos on Searchie and other topics for small business people. And click the bell notification icon. You'll be notified the next time I put out a video. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.